So, hello, Shravan sir, Bindu ma'am, and dear mentors, everyone present over here. I welcome you all to the Bindu Thop Talk. I'm Srinivedita Palabaina alias Self Love Queen. I'm here to introduce a beauty brand of talented, courageous, unique, exceptional, and a rare living soul. She's none other than Bindu Pisipati, an author, storyteller, a podcaster, and a communications project manager. Not only that, she is a person with open mind and with infinite mindset. She loves to be the 100% best in the things she loves the most. Hey, your team, you know what? Uh, you all know very well that I love writing blogs, write-ups, or the books. But I was enthusiastically waiting for a person, especially a girl, like to have the same interest, like how I'm interested to write books or anything which I love making podcasts or something. So I love to see people who just love what I love. So and then I got to know about her book, like about her podcast, and I felt like I felt I mean, very blessed and very glad to know her. Uh, it's one of my dream come true talk. Not just because I met her, but like because of the open mindset which she has providing value, and also the learning mindset which she has to be, which has at the same. I mean, she's also excited like how we are. So to add more of it, her book, other four-letter words, has been the hit and have been read by many.
This is who we are. We are a team. Talented, energetic, astonishing mindsets. We can do anything and everything. We talk, we care, we respect each other. We see beauty in everything. We are connected by hearts and driven by values. We celebrate each other. We provide value to each other. We take ownership in everything we do. We have freedom to make mistakes. We learn as we go. We are mad to make a difference. We love disruptive ideas. We make impossible things possible. We are strong to question the creation. We believe in dreaming big. If you do not dare to dream big, are we really living? Why be ordinary when we can be extraordinary? We should be driven by our goals, not by egos. We can do it. We will do it. Let us not hope for the best. Let us be the best. This is who we are.
Thank you, Radhika, for powerfully reciting our invocation. Your graceful voice made our invocation even more impactful. Students, those the dreams, the basis of the way things are perceived in this world. You might have heard discrete, distinctive stories from your parents, grandparents, friends, books, and of course, movies too. I repeat discrete, distinctive stories because I just talk about only one or two phases of an individual's life. But as humans, we crave to experience the hidden magical conspiracies of the universe to make who we are today. Thus, here we are today to give you the experience of our holistic divine journey of achieving big dreams. A journey that marked its revolutionary start 4 years back and now is passing the legacy of striving to be in the top 0.0001 percentage of happy people. So, are you ready to experience a heavenly metaphorical ride of our journey, our story in the form of murmuration of this adorable starlings? Why late then? Let's start. Over to you, starlings.
Hola, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good like always, nothing much. How are you?
Awesome.
How is it possible that you always seem super excited and lively every time I meet you all?
Let me tell you our story of fantastic murmurations, our team of vibrant, enthusiastic, like minded super starlings who want to be in the top 1% of euphoric, high spirited, happy birds. Starlings who want starlings who want to extend their wings to explore the limitless sky. Super starlings who who are a beautiful exemplification of serendipity. A flock that flies with love, floats with compassion, leads with passion, and lives with gratification.
Wow, a murmuration? Where is it and what is it about?
It is right here, embedded in everyone, but very few embrace it. Our Thop murmuration is the embodiment of incredible values, a powerful mission, and a breathtaking vision to change the world and be the change we want to be. It's not possible alone. It needs a huge support system, an ecosystem to express, and a culture to live in. Yes, we all strive to live our values of assisting each other to fly and reach our desired destinations, our goals, and our bigger dreams. We are a team of servant leads who work out everyone in the team and give our best to provide value to others. We fly in a decentralized web of heart to heart connections, which forms a strong foundation of our unity. We are independently dependent on each other. Our murmuration embraces stylings of different colors, different sizes, and different ages. We believe every super styling is unique and beautiful in its own way. We admire each and every bird in the flock, irrespective of all their odds. As a disruptive team, we rise to tremendous heights with a strong belief in our minds to make the impossible possible. We are passionate to explore across all extreme peaks, seamless seas, crisp deserts, and floral springs. Our murmurations also include birds from varied species. We believe that interactions with new birds every time bring in new energy and open the doors to make miracles happen. We are very grateful for every moment they have been part of our flock and giving us an opportunity to provide value to them. Every bird from our out of the flock tunes in with our song. That is the magic of our ecosystem.
Each and every bird has unique skill set that is owned with heart. Learning is a continuous process in the flock. We rise up every day to learn something from the world. From an ant to an elephant, everything is teaches our learning mindsets. Learning is always interesting with our super starling. We learn together with the ultimate resource accessible in this universe. We transmit our knowledge and acquire energy, and we assist each other to become the best version of ourselves. We persist to fly, we fall. But we don't look at the ground, say it is impossible. We look at the high sky and say we will make it possible. Every obstacle is an opportunity. What is the worst possible scenario? We might end up learning something new. Experience is the reality of life. We are grateful for every starling that triggers that change in our life. Every chance that enriches to give our best to the world, and every moment makes us shine as a super starling. Gratitude is a driving force that attacks the whole universe. Gratitude towards each other enables to fly in harmony. We care for each other. Each starling happiness matter. We are empathetic towards each and every top starling who is on the path of disruption. As a team, we float with unwavering entropy of emotions. Yes, compassionate we are.
Wow. But how do you manage to have so much positivity and the right mindset every time? Don't you have low days? Is your emotional state always happy and inspired?
Well, it's all because of the platform which we created to express ourselves top university. The platform which gives space to each and every super starling in us, vulnerable starling in us, excited starling in us, learner starling in us, grateful starling in us, and whatnot. We believe that every one of us has our own way of perceiving things, experience them, and expressing them. Thorpe University is an umbrella of the wild and colorful dreams of our Thorpe starlings. Every day at 7 p.m., the flock gathers together, settles down at their comfort, and gets transported to the world of expression. We proudly call these gatherings Thorpe Ambitions, whereas Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 9 a.m. we have a guest bird either from our murmuration or from different murmurations, expressing themselves and sharing their wisdom to empower us with their life experiences. We proudly call them top talks.
But do you think that every starling is going to carry this positivity and feel good emotion all through their day?
Good question. We may not carry the feel good emotion for the whole day long, but it's our instinctive preference towards positivity. Look for inspiration within our flow. And that's where our thought podcast and our pleasing and soothing chirpers of the flow come into action and lit up our moods on our emotionally down days. Soon, we are also going to create another platform called Thop Publication, where we want to give space to each and every starling to come out of their comfort zone, get inspired to inspire the world with their art of chirping. But this time in writing, again, this idea is going to be pursued by two of our young, aspiring adult starling entrepreneurs.
Aha. This is an amazing way of building and strengthening connections between flocks of not only our mindset but of different mindsets too. I noticed that every activity you do has the same set of core values followed by every starling. And this is certainly creating a brand of your flock among others.
That's true though. Starting from our top talks to our top monthly celebrations, we are carrying our ecosystem, our values, and our top culture everywhere we go. We admire our culture so much that it's part of every cell of every superstar. We just don't exist. We coexist. We live every moment to the fullest. Every day is a top day of excitement. Just imagine compiling all proud achievements and memorable days and celebrating them. We fondly call, we fondly call it the top monthly celebrations.
Top monthly celebration? What is it actually?
Starlings love to fly in the sunset sky, but we, being a disruptive murmuration of starlings, love to not only enjoy the sunset skies of all days, but also acknowledge each and every moment. We fly higher and higher in the sky. We love to celebrate each and every accomplishment of our super starlings, be it small or big. It has now become our monthly routine to gather on the first Sunday of every month and spread the happiness of our fellow starling success. Top monthly celebrations not only launch the achievements, but also celebrates birthdays of every super starling. Okay, Starling, bye for now. Let us meet at Top City.
Hey, hey, hey. What is this Top City? This is such a noble thought of celebrating each other's success. I'm astonished by the unrealized and priceless happiness you are creating in this world. Top Marmation is definitely going to leave a mark in this station.
Brand is not a tag that a murmuration or flocks to create. It is the expression of emotions that a murmuration makes you feel, which eventually leads to the creation of the brand. It is the impact we strive to inspire the world. It is the ecosystem that every starling in this world desires to live in. It is the culture that persuades to them to be the best version of themselves. And it is the value that the brand adds every day to their lives, which is turns the brand creates itself. Our Top brand is a humble yet powerful way of depicting our Top team, our top accomplishments and our top culture. By the way, the word top was born from the local Telangana dialect, which means simply out of the world. Whatever we create in this world, but be it individually or being part of top family, or as top cell family, or as the aspiring CEOs of top companies, will be under our proud top brand. Every move is disruptive, every action is revolutionary. What else the world need? Our flock of hearts is incomplete without our parents, our support, and our extraordinary mentors, the torchbearers of our spectacular moves. Hey, Starling, this is about our top brand. You can experience more in our top city. Let us meet in our top city.
Hey, tell me about your Top City. Why are you flying away? Okay, I'm all inspired with the way you pamper and respect each and every starling of your mother. I can clearly see the picture of what you have been creating for years. This wouldn't have been easy, right?
Hmm. But guess what? When we are signed up for bigger things, we tend to see the rest of all things from a bird's eye perspective. Then naturally, our personal challenges seem tiny in front of all the ambitious goals we have set for ourselves as a murmuration. Indeed, we are on the path of serendipity, and this is our pulsating journey of defying the laws of nature while defining the nature itself. You want to know about Thorpe City? Come, let us meet. Let's meet all the starlings in the Thorpe City.
But what it is and where it is, I'm curious to know more about Thop City, but every starling is flying away.
Wait, I will take you to the top city. Before that, this is not only our story, but this is our 4 years of hard work. This is our top ideas of disruption book, where we compiled all our 89 disruptive ideas. These are our top accomplishments. Some were super successful, some sustained, some did not even sustain. But who cares? We are happy what are accomplished and we are ready to accomplish more, learn more, explore more, and experience more. Starlings, now I will take you to our top city. Top city, designing our own world. A revolutionary idea to design our own world, our own city, our top city. But wait, first of all, why do we want to design our own city? To disrupt the way cities have been assumed, to disrupt the way cities have been built. Yes, our city, a place where our homes are our laboratories and our colonies are our test beds and manifest a decentralized web of networks where we want to devise an ecosystem and spread our Thop culture all around the world, where we want to fabricate our own Thop University and be lifelong enthusiastic learners, where we want to create our own currency and be financially untied to pursue our big dreams, where we want to make every moment of life special and be a stress-free bee, where we want to spread our wings and fly high. You might think, is this even possible? Or are we nuts to envision such a heavenly picturesque of a future? Yes, we are mad to make a difference in this world. We want to be seamlessly obsessed by making our top city possible.
What a beautiful place you have. I could see drone system, sustainable environment, and many more. I would love to join Top Journey and also Top City. Thank you so much, darlings, for introducing me to this beautiful murmuration. I learned a lot from you today. Blown away with your ever learning mindset. All the best, young starlings.
Wow, Starlings, that was a lucid presentation by Thop Murmuration. But what is this murmuration? Who are these young starlings? This is who we are, Team Topisil. We are these young starlings, striving to touch sky-high limits, dreaming big, making the impossible possible. And this is our story. And let us end the presentation with a video. Please play the video. Thank you. Signing off, Team Topisil.
Thank you so much, team, for beautifully presenting our story. So, Bindu ma'am, here is our story. We are also equally excited to know your story. But before that, I want to dedicate a few lines which I wrote for you, Bindu ma'am. Uh, a glamour which is not only defined by the beauty of her outer soul, but defined by the beauty of inner soul. Is my voice audible?
It is audible
Now
now.
it is audible.
Oh, okay. Now,
Maybe shall we
we
get some
maybe-
comments from Bindu first?
Yeah, okay, sir. Ma'am, can we hear your comments for our story?
Oh, it's beautiful. This seems like such a great organization and an incredibly inspiring group of young people. I can't wait to see what you have to do in the world and the impact that you make, because it's clearly going to be huge. There's no doubt. So I'm really excited to see what you all come up with and where you go with your lives. And I anticipate greatness from all of you.
Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. Yeah, now is my voice audible?
It's better, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's better.
thank you.
Go ahead, maybe.
Yeah, yes, sir. So, I want to take few lines which I wrote. A glamour which is not only defined by the beauty of her outer soul, but defined by the beauty of her inner soul of passion. A gem not only defined by the way she has come this far through her accomplishments, but with the way her openness towards her dream is inspiring. A graceful woman who is not only defined by her amazing talent, but defined by her kind and humble heart. So now, ma'am, we are excited to know your story. Our team has few questions to ask. In this way, we will get to know more about you, and we would be very happy to hear you. So now, first, I'm gonna start first. Ma'am, like I really want to know how did you start your journey, and like why did you choose the career path of an author, podcaster, and also communications project manager?
That's actually a very big question. So I'm going to start at the beginning and walk you through my career. And feel free to ask any questions. I'm an open book. I will tell you everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that you have, any questions you have. But some of you may know my dad. He's an advisor here, Professor Pisaparty. So we grew up in a college town. I went to Penn State also for my undergraduate degree. I actually did 2 simultaneous undergraduate degrees in biobehavioral health and in neuropsychology. And I hoped that I would become either a doctor or a nurse practitioner. And so I ended up actually thinking maybe a pediatric career would be right for me. So I ended up teaching for young children, because whenever you're a doctor or you're a nurse practitioner, you're working with young kids, the one thing they don't teach you in medical school is how comfortable to be with young kids, how to lift them up and how not to get them to scream, and how to be really comfortable. So I ended up working with young kids in a school for a year. And during that time, a professor whose child was in my classroom said, I have a fully funded Master's of Education program at Penn State. Why don't you come join me? So I said, okay, that's fine. And so I ended up actually making a career turn and going into early childhood special education. So working with young children with disabilities, mostly under the age of 5. And so I got my master's degree and I was working in preschools and with young children. And I started to miss health again because that's what my undergraduate degrees were in. And so I decided, okay, well, I'll get another master's degree in public health and I'll focus on maternal and child health. During all of this time, especially with my first master's degree, I had written my first manuscript for a novel. And it was kind of during some time off between quitting my job and starting my schoolwork. It was about 6 weeks. And so I wrote my first book. And I remember distinctly my parents, I told them, I'm going to write my book. And they've been telling me my whole life, you should write a book, you should write. And I'm like, no, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. And so I wrote my book and they said, oh, finally. So I was very lucky because they were very supportive. And I ended up getting a literary agent. Now, if you're not familiar with literature and getting books published, a literary agent represents your work. So whatever you're writing, she represents it. She takes it to editors at publishing houses, and then she negotiates contracts. So your agent is the person that gets you into the door for publication for a big company. Some publishing houses don't need a writer with an agent. They might be able to negotiate directly with the writer, but most big, powerful publishing houses require writers to have an agent. So she got my first book deal. And my first book came out in 2015. And then that was when I decided to go back for my public health degree. So I'm now at this point, I'm a writer and I'm a grad student. So I'm doing my degree in public health, and I graduated, and I ended up in 2018 working for Weill Cornell Medicine. Some of you might know Cornell University. It's based in Ithaca, New York. Weill Cornell Medicine is their medical school, their hospital, and their research institution. So they are based in New York City. So that's where I started working. That's where I work now as a communications project manager. I work directly under the deans of research, the people who oversee all of research. And during that time, I landed another book deal, a 3-book deal. So Love, Chai, and Other 4-Letter Words is the first book of the 3 books that are going to come out with this particular deal. And I just turned in my final edits on book 2, so it's out of my hands, thank God. And I also, during this time, my best friend said, you have a lot to say. You should probably start a podcast. And so I decided to start a podcast. And my brother is actually our producer. And I put out a call for co-hosts on a Facebook group. I was so new to this. I didn't even listen to my co-host's voice before I decided she was going to be my co-host. Keep in mind, podcasts are audio platforms. So you should hear exactly what someone sounds like before you put them on a show. But I was like so new to this that I said, yeah, sure. This girl's great. Let's put her on let's make her a co-host. And I'd never even heard her voice. So ended up, luckily, it was a twist of fate. It worked out really beautifully. And so our podcast was originally called The Woke Desi, and we changed the name last year. We rebranded completely, and it's called That Desi Spark. And it has been an extraordinary journey. We've gotten to talk to experts in all kinds of fields. We started talking about really difficult topics like infertility in women and how to make people feel supported within the Indian community and the broader South Asian community. We talk about LGBTQ communities and how they face more discrimination than most. We talked about sexuality. We've talked about dating. We've talked about mental health and how important it is. We've talked about men's mental health and how it doesn't get enough attention. We've talked about different kinds of health issues that Indians are more prone to face. And we've also done celebrity interviews. This last year, we fell onto Netflix's radar. So Netflix has been reaching out for us to do interviews with some of their stars. So I got to interview the cast of Love is Blind, which was a reality show that kind of got big on Netflix. And then we got to attend the Bridgerton premiere in LA. And so we got to do a lot of different very cool opportunities. Our faces were on billboards. We got a mention in Forbes magazine as one of the biggest podcasts. So it's been incredible. So now it's a very long story. I apologize, but now I'm a communications project manager during the day from 9 to 5. And then from 5 to 9, I'm a writer and I'm also a podcast host. So that's kind of where my journey has been since college, which was now, 10, 12 years ago.
Wow, that was so inspiring. Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am, for sharing. Team, do you have any questions? You can raise your hands. Yeah, Shravan sir.
Hey, Bindu.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on the call and talking with us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This is a really great bunch. Your work is really inspiring.
Thank you. They inspire me a lot.
I can see why.
We started, everything which you are seeing is our own creation. And we realized early on, if we create our own thing, we are our own competition, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is no one in the game. We are our own game. So we decided that was the best for our particular idea, our particular group of people. And so we said, so whenever we meet a person like you, we wanted to make sure that you get a flavor of us. Otherwise, we were noticing that, the other people don't know who you are, right? So they talk from their own perspective. So we decided, let us give you a flavor of who we are. and that way you have a certain idea of what is going on, and then when you talk with us, it helps us. So thank you for that. And that's why this new format, which we have been testing for about last 3 months or so, we have been testing this. And I have read about 60% of your book. I was not able to read the entire book yet. Romance is not something I don't think I've ever read a romantic book. This is your first book I'm reading, okay? And but I really like it a lot. I really
Thank
like
you.
it. You really are a good writer. You are making me think differently, which I don't know whether it's good or bad, but you're making me think differently. And so question is, you have, what is your definition of romance and your definition of love?
I think I don't know if I can define love quite as easily as I can define what romance looks like, to be honest. I think romance to me is about consent. It's about kindness. It's about putting someone else first. It's about caring on a really genuine level about someone else's well-being ahead of your own. And that doesn't necessarily always mean, giant gestures of love. I think it can also be very quiet gestures of love. For example, my dad makes me a cup of coffee every morning whenever I'm at home. And sometimes if I'm having a really bad day, he'll make it in this mug that I have that says author on it. So if I'm feeling really down about my life, he'll come and he'll give me like the quietly hand over like a mug that says author on it, as though he's trying to give me a little bit of a confidence boost. I don't think that romance has to be in the form of a partner. I think romance can be, you have to romanticize your life. You have to sit there and be in love with your life and with yourself and with everything around you and everybody around you. I think romance is much bigger than you and a partner. And it has to be, your entire approach to life is romance. If that makes any sense. I hope it does. I think it's a very big concept, but I think love is the same way. Love is how you see the world and what you're willing to give to it.
Thank you, Bindu. Lot of questions for you there. So I'm going to sit myself and listen.
Thank you so much, Raman sir. Viv?
Yeah, thank you, Nip. Thank you for a very good hosting and like really sticking on. And thank you, team, for beautifully presenting our story. Bindu, ma'am, oh my God, your last answer was just amazing. I just really loved it. We always know, like, I mean, Nivi is like, as she introduced herself in the beginning, that like she is that self-love queen in our team, and she is the one who has really woke up that self-love bit in all of us, and that's how she's nurturing that self-love side of all of us with her calls and with her expression. She's just amazing. So thank you so much for that. And like you both talk very similarly. Even she talks like that.
I'd love to say great minds, but I think her mind might be a little bit greater. So we'll just keep giving her the expertise on this one.
So like my question is, I mean, when you started the first book, you completed it in 6 months, 6 weeks, right? If I'm not wrong. So like I heard in an interview that you were that writer who really needed those inspiring moments to write before, and like you have changed it. How did you do that? How was the transformation possible? I think it was during your first book, right?
Yeah. So my first book I wrote in 6 weeks. Completely honestly, I don't think that will ever happen again in my life. It was a very unique situation, and I think, realistically speaking, I have more on my plate now. So it's not fair to expect that from myself, to say, yeah, well, you did that the one time, you should do it every single time from now on. Sometimes it's not going to be possible. But now it's more discipline required, and it's more thought required. And also with experience, you don't need quite as much time anymore to do certain things. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging. I think creativity is, people always say like creativity is kind of like a well, but they expect it to run like a river. It's not running like a river. It is a well. It is going to dry out, and you have to refill it sometimes, and sometimes you have to wait for the rain, and you have to wait until it fills to the point where you can pull something from it. So I think now the priorities have shifted. There are days that are really hard and very tiring, and I might not be quite as inspired to write. So those are the days I might edit more, or use more of my like logistical side of my brain to kind of cut through all of the stuff and less emotional stuff. Other days it might be the well is full and the pages are coming and it's much easier to write. So it's a lot of prioritization too. Look at where you are and how you're feeling and seeing if, what can I cope with today? Can I write a lot today? Or is it an editing day and it's kind of dry and boring and quiet and it's not going to come out the way that you want? And then sometimes it has to come out, and you like when you're on deadline and your editor is expecting a book and you're 75% of the way through and that other 25% is just not going to come. You have to find a way to get it there. So that's usually, I read a lot. I read other people's things a lot. And I like to, take a walk or talk to my husband or talk to my friends and find inspiration wherever you are. And sometimes that kind of gets the juices flowing one more time, just to push through that last 25%, which is always the hardest part of the book.
Wow. Maybe that is something which even I do, I think. I know like that final touches is sometimes really, really difficult. I can really feel you what you're saying.
Yeah, the mental block is a lot because you start wondering as this project starts to shape itself, sometimes you wonder if it's good enough, and other times you start wondering, oh, well, I can see this now. It's like taken form. It looks like something cohesive. How do I make it shine more? How am I going to make it? How am I going to sell it? How am I going to make people want to buy this thing? How am I going to make people love this thing? And it begins, that voice gets very loud sometimes. Like, yeah, you're not, this isn't great. This isn't awesome. This isn't perfect. And that is what blocks, I think, a lot of the creativity, because if you keep pushing through it, then that's going to kind of, it makes it more final. You suddenly have to submit it and you have to say, okay, it's done. Now everybody gets to judge it. And that's like a really scary thing to overcome. So it takes some time sometimes to get past that.
True, ma'am. That's really true. I have another question if people in queue don't mind.
Of course.
So, you have also mentioned in that interview that you sometimes you make it a point that you at least write something every day. So, is it the same kind of product which you expect when you are inspired, or is it something which you write, which is very raw and might not really get into the book,
It can be sometimes like a journal article or not even an article. No one has to see this but me. So sometimes it's me just venting out how I'm feeling. Why are my blocks coming? Why am I having a hard time today? What's not working right now? Like, where are my mental blocks? How do I get around them? Journaling and things like that are helpful. And talking to my friends is helpful. Talking to a therapist is helpful. All of those things is really helpful just to try and get around the blocks. So I think all of those are communication forms, right? So they get the juices moving no matter what. No one needs to see it to make it writing. I think if you write, you are a writer. You don't have to be published to be a writer. And so I think that is like the biggest thing, is to remember whenever, for me, what works is like, writing every day doesn't always mean everyone's going to see what I wrote every day.
Wow, I really like this point of, if you are a writer, like you are a writer to yourself, you don't need to publish everything.
If you write, you are a writer. If you speak, you are a speaker. It's a very easy definition. I think we set the metric here and we keep thinking someday, I'll meet this gap, I'll close the gap, then I can call myself this. But I've now published a book. I still don't call myself an author very often. I still keep saying, maybe when I have 5 books, I'll call myself an author. So if your metric keeps moving forward and you can't close that gap, you're never going to be enough in your own eyes. So at that point, you have to move forward and you have to say, no, I am. and I am, and I am. And then you just say, I am a writer, I am an author, I am, X, Y, and Z, whatever you want to be. You have to kind of start with that mentality and say you are those things. And then the metric can catch up to you. The other way around.
Wow. Wow. That's a beautiful answer. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, Bindu ma'am. Your expression is so powerful. Thank you so much. And Dipti?
Thank you for moderating. You're doing a really nice job.
Thank you, Nivi. So, ma'am, I really love writing. And you have told that you publish books, and like you need to be committed for that thing, right? For your book. So I have this question a lot. Like I get this thought frequently. Like, what if we ran out of thoughts? Like we are out of thoughts to write. What if you run out of what if you ran out of words? Like what do you do at that time?
I mean, I think you have to it was like we were talking about earlier. I'm someone who struggles with that a lot. I think because your inspiration dries out and you can't find the story, and you don't know where it's supposed to go, and you just don't feel like you can really get it on the paper. So I think it's really just about finding the inspiration again, whatever that takes, whether that's exercising and getting your brain going, whether that's talking to your friends, whether that's going to see a movie, whether that's reading another book and other people's writing, whether that's free form writing, like journal writing, where you just say all of your thoughts in one word. You have plenty of words when you're writing your own thoughts, trust me. So I think, when you read that, sometimes you can find strings of wisdom or, inspiration that can lead and kind of foster whatever you're going to write next. But I think, I don't think there's ever a complete end to words. If you're thinking, you're probably using words at some point. So there is something there. You just have to find it.
Thank you, ma'am. This is the one question I got right now. I'll be back with more questions.
Please do.
Thank you so much, Dipti. Gitu ma'am?
Thank you, Nivi. Bindu, we are inspired by these children every day. And the questions they're asking, they're wonderful. I can just sit back for the whole session and not ask a single question and get all my questions answered.
Yeah.
But I did want to tell you, I finished the book, and I recommend.
That was quick.
Yes, it's an audio book from my library. I borrowed it from my library. I finished it because I wanted to know how it ended too. And you've ended it. I'm not going to give anything away here, but you've ended it so beautifully. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe one day it'll become a movie.
I really hope it does. I really hope it does.
Yes. So I loved what you said about, and I did recommend it to my daughter. I saw it was like a flashback. Some of those conversations were like a flashback of conversations with my daughter.
Yeah.
She grew up there. She went to med school there. So, in Sonam, I saw some parallels. So I thought she will relate to those conversations well. But I liked what you said about writing. I think this is what I gathered. When you first start writing, you're not worried about what the other person is reading. It is your thoughts that are coming out, right? Yeah. So that actually has helped me. I don't know if you've read Brene Brown's works or if you've heard her. I love her. Her talks on vulnerability, her books, and she has what's called the shitty first draft.
Yeah.
So I remind myself of that, and I find I'm a wannabe writer. I don't write consistently, but eventually at some point I want to publish a book. So maybe I'll come to you for guidance there. But I have found that if you go with that approach, it's so much easier. When no one else is reading, you think, okay, I'm not writing it for you, I'm writing it for myself. And things flow so much better too. So that's a great tip. And there's so many writers amongst these students here. Vivu writes very well. Deepu, Nivi, there's many others. So I hope they do, compile their questions from time to time and get guidance from you. So much we all can learn from you. Very
Oh, I
inspiring.
think so.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
feel free. Anyone here is welcome to reach out on LinkedIn or anywhere, Instagram, whatever works for you. Just reach
Yeah.
out and let me know,
Yes, and keep writing. Can't wait for your next book.
Thank you.
So we'll read it as soon as it's out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gitu ma'am. I mean that is really true. Like when we start writing first, then I mean that will come from our hearts, and we don't think about the one who reads. That is so connecting to all of us, mostly for the writers. And thank you, Bindu ma'am. Team, do you have any questions? Okay. Okay. I want to ask another question. Okay, Shravan sir.
No. Go ahead, Nivi. You ask your question. And it looks like Vinay also has a question. Okay. I have actually, if I opened, I was reading your book and I was writing notes on the side because Kindle gives you that option.
Yeah.
I have lots of questions. So I'll call Bindu separately and ask all those questions. I mean, not questions as questions. It's more like a conversation about some of the lines she has. So I'll do that sometime. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
Yeah. Ma'am, I want to ask this question. Who are your biggest supporters who believed in you the most?
Oh, my parents, no question. Yeah, my parents and my brother. Like instantly, that's the first answer I'm going to give. My parents told me to be a writer since I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I didn't listen to a word they said until I was 25. And every time I make a mistake, I come back and it's like, sorry, I made a mistake, and they're always like, that's fine, let's fix it. Let's figure out how to go forward. They never focus on that, which is great. So, yeah, my parents are bar none, and now my husband too. I guess I have to include him as well. But we're like we've only been married 1.5 years, so I keep forgetting to include him whenever I say like my biggest supporter is like, sorry. Yeah. So, my parents and my husband and my brother, for sure.
Wow. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think the readers too. Eventually, like in initial ideas, it's always your closest friends, your closest family, whoever is around you. But it's also once the product is out, once your book is out there, it's the readers that keep you going. So I don't know if all of you have this, but I would highly recommend it. Pardon the language, but I have a folder on my phone. It's called You Are a Badass. And it's a folder where every compliment I've gotten from a reader or every message that I've gotten that's been positive, I screenshot it and I put it in the folder. So that way, every time you have a bad day or you're wondering why you're writing, or if it's a really challenging day, or if you're sitting there and you're saying like, I don't know why I'm doing this, I cannot find my purpose in the world, you look through your folder and you find out why you're a badass because everybody else already told you you were. And now you get to remind yourself that everyone thinks that you're a really, really good person who knows what they're doing. And even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing, at least you get that reminder for a little bit just to lift you a little bit. So I highly recommend everybody here, go make a You Are a Badass folder on your phone and take every screenshot, every email, every Instagram message, anything that comes across, even comments sometimes on book reviews or Instagram posts that someone says, I really like what you did. Those are the things that, will keep you going on a bad day and inspire you one more time to get going whenever you don't feel like you can really keep moving.
Wow, ma'am. This is connecting to me because I have a self-love album wherein I have all my pictures and like all the comments which I got from all the people whom I like the most, or any professional comments which I get from the mentors. I take it screenshots, and whenever I feel sad or low, I just go through it and will feel very high at times.
Yes, I agree. I think the whole world, especially if you're creative, the world will always tell you you're not good enough because they're comparing you to every other creative that they like. It's a very subjective concept. Creativity is a very subjective concept. What is somebody's favorite book could be a book that someone else on TikTok calls a dumpster fire. So you have to kind of look at everything and just take it objectively. But whoever loves you, attract that first and put that in a folder and make sure you look only at those things. I stopped looking at reviews of my book because sometimes there will be people who make assumptions about you based on what you've written. And some of those are not true. Some of them are blatantly not true. And so it's very easy to get caught up and think like, oh my God, this whole world thinks I'm terrible. And that's not the case. And that's with any feedback. Always look at it with a mentality of learning, see if it's a valid point to learn from. But then also you have to be able to pinpoint the good things to keep you rooted, to keep you going, because otherwise you can get paralyzed by, the criticisms that come your way. And that can be really hard to get through sometimes.
Thank you so much. Vinay, I can go.
I'm just seeing the time. Like, can I ask the question?
Oh, absolutely. I will stay as long as any of you want to answer whatever questions you have.
Okay, that's fine. So, thank you, Bindu. I really love listening to you, and I just want to tell what I believe in. Like, you are more loud than you know. That's what
I agree.
that's what it goes, right? Like, it's all our assumptions of not being loud that will be in us. And I too have a album in Google Photos with the lovely comments that I get about myself, which kind of boosts me up. And I'd like to ask you this question. Maybe this question is in two parts. So, whenever I think publishing a first book is easy than publishing the second book, because with the first book you have already set a tone, you have already set a level for yourself, and then now with the second book you might have to cross, or maybe it's my assumption, but do you carry that pressure of bettering yourself from the book to book, so that people won't like think of the previous one is better or something like that? And also the second part of the question is about the co-writers of you, like are the ones who write books in your genre. Okay, so do you take any pressure of comparing yourself with them, or you go with your own flow?
That's a good question, Vinay. Thank you for asking. I think the first one, the first point about expectation is true. Yeah, 100%. That first book, you have no idea what you're doing. So you go in and you have this very healthy sense of not knowing what's happening. So you just go in and you feel really brave. And then the second book is very easy to get caught up in. Even with this second book in this series, it's my third book total, second book in this series. But I've gotten caught up and I thought, oh my God, I'm so bad at this. Why don't I just give them back their money and just call it a day? I'm just gonna sit here and be happy without feeling this pressure. But
yeah, and also it happens with me where if I think of writing a more beautiful sentence, the sentence gets even more worse. If I don't think of and write, it gets even more beautiful.
It's true. Yeah, I agree. I think though the one benefit of that is that an expert is considered someone who spent 10,000 hours, right? An expert is someone who spent 10,000 hours doing their craft. So if I've spent 9,000 hours on book one and then another 9,000 on book two, at this point I've crossed into that territory of becoming an expert slowly. I might not see myself as one, but I've learned along the way. And so you have to remind yourself, everything that you create past that first project is always going to be better than the first project that you created and to begin with. And the other thing that I have to remind myself of is every author, every innovator, every trailblazing person in the world has always started at a beginner level too. They didn't just immediately get to where they were. Steve Jobs did not become Steve Jobs first. He had to fail 1,001 times before he ever got his expert story put out there. You look at all of these people who have hit success, and they didn't start there. They all started with a lot of failure and a lot of mistakes and a lot of figuring it out. The only difference that made them successful was that they persevered through all of the criticism that they got and all of the feedback that they got. So on book 2, book 3, book 4, there will always be a moment where I'm like, this is too much for me right now. I don't think I'm going to make it through this, and it's not going to be as good. But you have to keep in mind that I said that about I thought that about book 1. It's gotten better with book 2. I've gotten better consecutively with each book. And everybody here he knows exactly what that looks like. The experts get their stories told when they are experts, not when they're beginners.
Yeah, regarding
Thank you so
the
much.
competition that you have in the same genre.
Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. Yeah, so actually we have a group on text message and on Slack, and it's actually all a good chunk of the other Indian writers. We're all supportive of one another. So we all have different styles, but we get together once or twice a year and we all write together in a house. We rent a house and we go away for the weekend, and we leave all of the husbands and the kids and everything behind, and we sit down and we get our projects done together. And we all, unfortunately, this is kind of a unique problem, but because we're all Indian in a very white country, we're going to be compared against each other. Inevitably, we're going to be compared against each other because we are a minority. And I understand that, obviously in India, this might not be a relatable problem, but here, there's almost like a quota for how many Indian people or writers they're going to let succeed. So we don't have room for competition at this point. We cannot compete with one another because if one of us goes down, all of us are going down. So there's the only way we're going to rise is if we lift each other and we keep pulling other writers up with us. So publicly, you'll never see us fight, because even if internally we're fighting, publicly you'll never see us fight, because we need to, there's a very strong sense of realizing we're very few that have lucked out. And because we're a minority and we're brown writers in a white space, there's already enough going against us. So the comparison game is not something we can afford to play at this point in the US anyway. And so that's not something, and it's also not something I believe in. I don't believe in looking, if people want to compete, they can go to a different arena and play a different game. I am playing this game by myself in my own arena, and I am designing the rules on my own. So, there's no room for competition in my game. So I don't believe that. I do read other people's writing though, because I do like knowing what they're doing better than me, so I can try to be like them. But I don't compare and oh, this person's worse, this person's better. That's not what I want to do. Does that answer your question?
This is how a powerful other will sound like. So hearing
I don't
from
know
that
about
powerful other
powerful. I
is
don't know about
making me
powerful
get
yet.
goosebumps. Yeah.
Hopefully someday.
So
But
and also do you get something kind of a writer's block? What do you do? And do you have a special place to write every day consistently so that you sit there and stories just happen to you?
I get writer's block pretty much every day. It's like something, the first 15-20 minutes that I'm writing never comes out good. You have to warm up. It's a muscle. You have to warm up. You have to get yourself used to it. You have to get back in the swing of things. You have to read stuff that you wrote the other day and kind of get a vibe and kind of ease into it. You have to be a little bit conscious of, the fact that your first 20 minutes or half hour or hour is not going to be very good. And, but eventually the block works through, like I was saying, with same thing with inspiration. It's exactly like that. To overcome writer's block, you have to shake up your surroundings a little bit. And with writing, I always write at my desk. I very rarely write elsewhere. However, we were traveling a lot in the last 6 months, and so I wasn't home. And that was inspiring too. I actually had a lot of ideas really nicely in other places. So if you can get to a cafe or obviously with COVID, that was very difficult. But if you now, as things open up, if we can go to a cafe or even go to a different room in your house and write there, then that sometimes kind of kills a little bit of the block.
And the stories just happen to you, just come to your mind, or you?
Yeah, kind of. Everybody has a different way of writing. I think my friends, for example, sometimes they'll have one line that comes to them and it's in the middle of the book. And other times, for me, this book, Love Chai and Other Four-Letter Words, came because we were all, my friends and I, who all grew up here, were all finding partners. And some of my friends were going through that issue of do I marry a white American or do I stick with Indian guys? And so that was there was a lot of us were going through the same thing at the same time. And there were a lot, these conversations were very relevant. So it was easy to inspire book one. Book two was like very out there, but I wanted it to be out there. And it's a different plot, and I wanted it to be a little bit different than what I usually write. So the story was, it kind of came to me randomly. Other manuscripts I've written, the story, it's just kind of come to me, and they sound like when I'm writing, this is probably gonna make me sound crazy, but it sounds like they're talking. Like it sounds like other people are telling me what to write. These characters are loud, they're bold. If I cannot hear a character, it means the idea is not ripe yet to write down. The personalities of these characters, because with fiction writing, you have to create characters who are very believable, right? You have to make people out of nothing. And so to make them fully formed people, they have to be clearly talking to you about who they are and what they like and what they don't like. So when I'm writing, if a character hasn't come to me that clearly, it's probably not the right time to write that story. But then, sometimes with all the projects I've written, the main characters have come through very clearly, and it's been like, okay, this is the story I'm going to write now. So that's just the way I work. I think everybody works a little bit differently though. So if that's not happening to you and you're a writer in this group, don't feel bad. That's just that's a me problem.
Yeah. Super. It's interesting to note that fictional characters are made believable. I thought fictional characters are fictionals.
No. I think the same thing with romance, going along with Sharma Uncle's first question, is the romance and love are seen as like an escape, or sometimes they're unfortunately come with a very weird stigma of being less serious. Sometimes writers who write love stories or romance stories are seen as like, oh yeah, well, you just weren't serious enough to write a biography. I'm going to correct that notion here, and I hope all of you take it to heart. There are three major points about romance and love stories. Firstly, they dive into relationships in a way that no other genre of books dives into. They have to formulate relationships. You can make two people who hate each other like each other. You can make people who are really unlikable lovable by the end of a book. You have to create people from absolutely nothing and make a reader feel invested in their character and their development and their life in a book. So I would say that's the first thing about romance and love that is remarkable about artists who can write those particular genres. Secondly, romance is the most marketable genre of any book. They outsell every other genre in literature. Romance sells higher than anybody else. Thirdly, part of the reason that romance is looked down upon is because most romance writers are largely women. So that's a huge point to think about. Why is it that the genre of writing that is led by women is looked down upon the most? So I would say like those are the three things with love and romance that I hope that everyone carries forward, is that there's much deeper interplay and dynamics at work when it comes to judging romance. But here's the thing, where did Bollywood create its entire foundation of storytelling? Love stories. So this is, it's a very weird dichotomy where love and romance and the idea of loving somebody or in whatever way is looked down on. Yet in a business model, that's the first thing that sells. Yet the people that create it are also looked down upon. So there's kind of a weird vicious circle. So, because I think everyone here has a very open mind, that's something to think about. It's something to try and actively change going forward, is to think about how we view these relationships. Because why is it that we're looking down on the single genre that makes people feel some hope at the end of the day? Isn't kind of sad, right? Like, like your love and romance, whether it's family or anything else, like why is everyone thinking that's not serious when that's what actually drives the whole world?
I'm feeling like listening to an audiobook while you're talking. The sentences are that well put.
I just want to say something. I know it's Nikhil's turn next. But Bindu, the point you made is so important. It is so important, and I'm glad you made it, especially in the Indian setting, in the Indian culture, right? You don't talk about romance. You don't talk about dating. And it's like under the covers. People probably get excited, but it's like it's beneath them to admit it. Yeah. I'm very open about, I love romance novels, and I think I'm a romantic myself. But I think we need to be more open, and your audience is the perfect audience for the statements you made. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I realize it sounds very passionate. I don't mean to put anyone down. It's not like an angry statement. It's just something to think about, because even I, for the longest time, I'll be honest with you, for a long time, people would say, "What do you write?" And I'd be like, "Oh, fiction," and they'd be like, what kind of fiction? I'd be like, like women's stories or something. Like, why was I not able to say that? And it's because there's such an embarrassment around it. And luckily, these writers that that this group that I'm in, they have had their books made into movies on Netflix. They have had their books made into popular series on Netflix. They've all been selling like hotcakes, and we've all been covered in major publications. So, luckily, because of that, the stigma is slowly coming off. But, it's like you said, everybody kind of reads it under the covers. And in Indian culture, I think for all of us, whether we're here, whether we're in India, the concept of romance and love comes with some sort of taboo conversation, which is, still, not as much as it used to be, of course, but still kind of weird to talk about. It's still not something that like everyone is like, shouting from rooftops or very comfortable with. But here's the thing: arranged marriages, love marriages, whatever your cup of tea is, they all have romance in them. It's like I said, those small moments of like, handing someone a cup of coffee, or, checking to see if someone's warm enough or cold enough. Those are all moments of romance. So why is it that we're making it so embarrassing? Why are we saying that caring should be something we're embarrassed about? What does that say about people? What does that say about all of us? If we're making people feel bad about that.
We're being hypocrites.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's like, even me, when I look back, I'm like so embarrassed of myself for hiding for so long from saying, yeah, you know what, I write rom-coms. That's what I do. It's just how the story came out. I never went in thinking I was going to write a rom-com. It just kind of happened. But the other thing is too, my books are not very steamy. I think that's the other thing. Romance is associated largely with sex. That's not always the case. I think the romance genre as a whole sells because there's a lot of different deep societal issues you can cover in love stories. Because think about it, you're the most vulnerable when you fall for someone. You're the most vulnerable with your family, with your loved ones. So if love makes you vulnerable, what other condition is going to come up that makes all of these deeper issues come out first? Your vulnerability is going to make those issues come out first. So, these love stories, these romance stories, these women's fiction stories, they're exposing a lot of deeper issues within society that are really interesting to kind of dive into. So, if you read my book, or if you read other Indian authors' books, they talk about colorism, they talk about casteism, they talk about, the whole concept of honor and what that looks like. Why is it that our cultures are really, really limiting sometimes? Why is it that they're really beautiful sometimes? All of those things are answered a lot. They explore all of those stories within these genres. All right, Nikhil, you've been waiting for a really long time. So
thank you so much, Geeta ma'am, and thank you so much, Bindu. Like I was just thinking that you were able to just express in writing, and I could clearly see that your expression in live also is more powerful, and it is very, very communicative. And like my questions what I had were already asked and you already answered. Like I just wanted to know one thing. Like when we see movies, it is a visual thing, right? We get connected a lot. But coming to writing, it is a bit. I feel like we need to invest more efforts or something to create that visual feast or something. So while writing, did you have anytime you thought about this, or this thought, how you handle this part?
Yeah, so in writing, there's this concept of showing, not telling. So that's a point that I still work on every day. I'm not always perfect at it, but it's the concept of like, you have to show your reader what you want them to know, but you can't tell your reader what you want them to know. So it's like, this is a really bad example, but saying, like her red shoes shined in the sun, it's better than saying she was wearing red shoes, right? Because if you just kind of throw it in there, that small detail, the reader can say, hey, I saw, like, I can, in my head, I picture red shoes. I picture them shining in the sun. Whereas, like, if you say she was wearing red shoes, like, okay, great. Yeah, you're telling them exactly what she's wearing. But, does it really make them a part of the story? Does it actively make them use their imagination? It's funny you asked that question, because I just finished my round of edits, and there were so many points where my editor said, you have to trust your reader to figure this out. You have to trust your reader to figure this out. And it was like 6 different points where she just said, like, you're telling me this, your reader knows. Like, you have to have some trust. You have to build your writing in a way that you can trust your reader knows what you're trying to say, and you don't have to spell it out. You're not talking to a 3-year-old. You're talking to a grown adult who can read a book. So it's something clearly I'm still working on, but there is the concept of showing, not telling. So, there are differences in writing a screenplay versus writing books. They're very different. Here's a great example, actually. If any of you have watched The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, J.K. Rowling's newest, when you read Harry Potter, the books, let's eliminate J.K. Rowling's problematic attitude on a totally different level. That's a different thing we can have a conversation about. But these books, she wrote 7 books. You can envision everything happening in them. The movies she also wrote. The first 2 movies were atrocious. And they were because she wrote the movie like she would write a book. And you cannot do that. They're not written the same way. And that was a huge, like, the way that you construct a story is very different for a movie because you have that visual aid. But when you're writing a book, you don't have that. So your construction can be different. It can be a little more creative because your reader is already invested differently, is experiencing it differently. So yeah, it's a good point that you brought up with movies being different than books, but that's artistically different, but it's also, you have a different level of trust with your reader whenever you're going through that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I always, like, whenever I watch a movie or read something, I always get this question, how they wave that story, because I always wonder. I don't really know. Like you mentioned that it is from the experience, right? So yeah, what exactly happens for you or to wave it like that?
I don't know. Sorry, ask that question one more time so I can come up with a better response.
So, like, for me, the perspective is like, I'm an audience, so you need to take me into the story, right? So there is a story you are presenting, right? So you can present in different ways, but waving that story in a way that you really get the audience into. So I just wanted to know how you handle that part, like taking the audience into the story.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it's trial and error, I think, for me. So book 1, Love, Chai, and Other 4-Letter Words, I had to rewrite that book 3 times. From page 1 to page 400, I had to rewrite it 3 times. And it's because my book deal came on a proposal. So to give you background, a proposal is exactly that. It's a sample of what you can write. I wrote 4 chapters and they signed me for the book deal. So I was very lucky. The problem is, after those 4 chapters, you have to write the rest of the book. And the editor had an idea, like, yeah, this is where Bindu is going with the story. She didn't know how I was going to go with that story. So I wrote the story, the rest of it, and it wasn't exactly what she expected. So she said, hey, can you fix a couple things? Write it again. I wrote the book again. I spent another year writing that book. We wrote it again, and she said the same thing. And so I had to rewrite that book 3 times. And it was because I was experimenting each time with different storytelling techniques. So for book 1, the first edition of it, first time around, the first draft, I wrote it. It was a little bit slower than what it ended up being now. and it was more focused on the love story itself. There was less family involved. Then the second time, I did flashbacks. Every other chapter was a flashback to the character's story. But then the editor was like, there's not enough of these two characters right now happening for me to fall into this story. There's too many flashbacks. So then the third time was kind of a weird mix. So it's a lot of trial and error and knowing what works for you and knowing how you like to tell a story. But every story, you kind of have to have a little bit of an idea of where it's going and what the best way is to tell it. But that comes with experience, and it comes with trial and error, and it comes with rewriting the book 3 times in my case. So it's a lot of making mistakes to be able to tell the story.
Thank you so much. Like one last thing, it is a point to mention. Like whenever we watch a movie, we just give a review, right? Like this is not the way I want it. But sometimes I look at the way they invested their time to create that, and I could, in your words, I could clearly know it is not easy to write a book, and it is not easy to wave it in a way that audience really understand it. And we really appreciate you for taking time and putting efforts to make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I do the same thing. I think I've learned over the last 10 years now, I've stopped criticizing things for not coming out the way I expected. Because the person behind it probably expected and wanted something different. The only places now that I kind of like to, that I think about critically are like, did they express it kindly? Did they do it thoroughly? Were the characters well developed? It's more craft centered than it is opinion centered now. Which has only come from being under the same criticism before. And realizing exactly what you said, the creator probably envisioned something differently than I did. So at the end of the day, it's not my expectation, but their creation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nikilana, for the beautiful prolongation, and thank you so much, Bindu ma'am. Now we would like to end the call. Bindu ma'am, we really loved and enjoyed speaking with you. Loved your whole story, and we just got inspired by the way you are, ma'am. And also, like, we Thop family really want to have another Thop talk with you, especially regarding your book, Love Chai and the Other 4-letter words. We really want to understand how you written that book, because when Shravan sir read your book, and when he started explaining the summary of your chapters, like it was powerful, unique, and inspiring. So I haven't read that book yet, but I will read it soon, and will be ready when you come to us with the another talk. Hope you're okay.
I would love to. Thank you so much for coming up with such thoughtful questions, for sticking around for such a long time too. It's very appreciated.
Yeah, here is the card, ma'am. Thank you so much, Bindu Pisapati. Wow, Bindu ma'am. We are just amazed to see the way you inspired us with your writing. We have been hearing about your book for the last few weeks. Thanks a lot for taking time and interacting with us. We all love expressing in writing. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you so much. Keep in touch via LinkedIn, or I write under a pen name. I don't think I even mentioned that. So if you find me on Instagram, I'm equally available there, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever. I write under Annika Sharma, ANNIKA and SHARMA. So if you guys want to find me there, connect with me anywhere, ask any questions you have. I'm always available.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We will surely do that. Team, please
Thank you so much for having me. It was
Thank you, Bindu.
Thank you. Take care, everybody.
You too. Bye.
Please don't leave. We have a special announcement now.
Am I allowed to leave? Am I not supposed to leave?
You can be in the call. It is only a few-minute call where we are we designed our own award, and we are giving that award today. And I think you'll love this.
Yeah, I don't have music around. I want to know who wins this.
We have a surprise, right? Let us keep it surprise, please.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Announcing the announcement.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nikhilana, undandi kada. Wait, we have a setup for it.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Nikhilana, shall I?
Just a minute. Vivekta, don't. Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Apurva, are you on there?
Yeah, she's on.
Hello, busy people. How's life? How are you? It's high time we need Apniki life for some fun, right? Guess what? Apniki are back with a big announcement.
Apu, what is this all of a sudden? I wanted to be surprised.
Nikki, it's still a surprise. It's going to be the celebration of surprise for a while.
Wow, Apu, loved this. So, my dear busy people, Apu Nikki has taken this privilege to announce a big news. The fest season is here.
The festival has arrived.
Yes, the festival to inspire the world, appreciating the exceptional efforts of our teammates. Anmol Awards 2022 is here. Do you want it once more?
Yes, నేను ఇప్పుడే అన్మ్యూట్ చేసి once
No,
more,
we
please.
don't want to wait.
వద్దు, once more. Let us enjoy the moment when I'm human. కొంచెం కొంచెం విజిల్ వేసుకోండి అమ్మా. విజిల్ వచ్చే ఎవరికైనా విజిల్ వేసుకోండి. నాకు వచ్చిందని
Nice results.
థ్యాంక్స్ సో మచ్ శివాని అక్క. సరే,
Apu?
అప్పునికి కంటిన్యూ. ఐ వాంట్ టు షో.
Wait. The movie is still there. Apu? Mute actually.
మనల్ని యూనివర్స్ ఎంత వెయిట్ చేయాలి అనుకుంటుందండి. సి అప్పు అయిపోయింది. అప్పు కెమెరా ఆఫ్ చేసుకో, మాట్లాడవా? నువ్వు కదులుతున్నావు కానీ నీ వాయిస్ ఆటలే.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Apurva.
This is then another surprise in our surprise.
సి అదే కాదు, ఇట్ ఈస్ జస్ట్ యూనివర్స్ కన్సర్నింగ్ ఫర్ అస్ టు వెయిట్ అన్నమాట.
Oh, the suspense was all planned, right? All planned.
I should have come meditated then. నాకు ఆగట్లేదు.
Apu, can you rejoin maybe? We can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Apurva.
We need you to reveal the present surprise.
అప్పు వచ్చేసింది.
Yeah, I'm back. How surprising it is to just 1 year has already built up since we had our witness and Surya and Anmol. Those moments, those priceless smiles, they are still fresh in our hearts, right? It's time for the Anmol party again. Anmol, as its beautiful description goes, it's an appreciation in the form of an award given to a priceless teammate of us.
Have you ever imagined you will have a person in your life who will be up till night 2 a.m. and write a card for you and make you start your day with a smile and contentment? The moments kind of these are many. Just go back and see her chat with you. You will find a pile of gratitude cards written for you so consistently. There are countless gratitude stories on how happy they were by receiving the first card of their life from her.
She has taken a lead to create gratitude mindset in the team when no one has ever even seen the power of it. She has become our precious diamond of the team by being there with every one of us in our hardest times. Just by spreading out the feeling that I am there for you, keep smiling, don't make life complicated. She has been making herself the best version by challenging herself each and every time, be it enhancing her write-ups every time or completing the reading of 35 plus self-help books by being that constant learner.
She is so good in uplifting others, boosting their confidence, spreading the smiles. Her impact on the team as a person, her attitude of taking an extra mile in delivering lovely support or spreading the love with her aura of positivity.
It's all things behind that.
Apu, can you
The
turn
all-time
off your video?
supporter of our team.
Can you turn off your video?
Am I audible now?
Yes.
Words fall short if I go on describing every small thing she has done. But I'm sure you have got whom I am mentioning about. Having been the all-time supporter of our team, being the gratitude charm spreader, being the universe conspirer, our Shivani Akka, whom we fondly call our gratitude goddess, is going to be the recipient of Anmol Award 2022 from all the hearts of our Thop family.
Yay!
Shivani, congratulations.
విజిల్ ఇప్పుడు కూడా విజిల్ కావాలి ఫ్రెండ్స్ ప్లీజ్.
Come on, camera, Shivani.
Shivani, you want to see
I'm
your
giving
smile?
few seconds for the celebration.
Oh, you are beside? I'm hearing an echo.
Let me continue. Congratulations, Shivani. As we are aware, Anmol is a very, very special and unique award that is given for a heart that goes for an extra mile to stand for others, to take care of them, and make a very deeper impact on the team.
By investing her countless hours of hard time and effort to create this gratitude mindset in every one of us, by standing mentally strong at all the challenging situations and still emanating the positive vibes all over. This Anmol Award is feeling so proud to go and rest in Shivani Akka's hands.
Hope this award would serve as recognition for her unseen efforts behind this huge impact she had on every one of our teammates. Also, to encourage her to be the same down the years, since rarest people are rare in life and they have to be recognized for their speciality.
We are very sure this gratitude goddess, with her aura of gratitude spell, will make a positive difference in many lives and create smiles on her journey. Embracing every effort of her, we are proudly announcing this Anmol Award will be given to Shivani Akka in the Anmol party hosted by our Thop team on May 11th. Venue will be fixed soon. I know everyone are eager to be part of the event and let all our heartfelt smiles pour on Shivani Akka along with award. We love you so much, Shivani Akka.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Shivani.
Thank you, sir. Oh my god.
So happy to see your smiles.
Yeah. Big is waiting అని నన్ను బిగ్ చేసేసారు. Thank you
So
so
well.
much.
Yeah, go ahead. Your Oscar speech.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
success
Shravan
speech.
sir, for making me like representation of gratitude. And thank you, my dear team, for being always with me. We are outside అంటే అందుకే ఈ మొత్తం ఎఫెక్ట్లు వచ్చినాయి.
It's okay.
You are loving it.
Shivani, have some words for May 11th.
For the party.
Thank you so much, Annaya. Thank you so much, Shravan sir, Geeta ma'am, Apurva for like uh, telling those lines, and
నేను కూడా చెప్పా కదా అప్పు
all the makers and everyone who has located me in their hearts. Thank you so much.
Go ahead, Geeta.
I have to say this. The things that Apu and Nikki said, and how she makes others feel better. Shivani, I don't think I've ever told you this, but every time you send those loving messages, just out of the blue, she sends a loving audio message or, a written message. I have teared up. Every time you've done that, I've had goosebumps and I have teared up. Thank you. Love you so much. We all love you, Shivani. Please keep smiling. Keep smiling, and you will forever be our gratitude goddess.
Thank you so much, Geeta ma'am.
Thank you, Shivani, for everything. Thank you all for this beautiful Thop talk. And, thank you to the KU Thop girls. They did a fantastic job. Nivi, wonderful hosting.
Let's clap for KU girls. The new voices.
The new voice, exactly. And Apurva, Vivikta, thank you for jumping in at the last minute and taking care of the network issues. And, so thank you. Dr. Sharma, you came on video for a second. Do you want to say any few words?
It's difficult for me to say a few words. That's the reason I just disappeared.
More words.
I don't want to prolong, but just congratulations to Shivani. That is what I wanted to say. Obviously, she deserves the best. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much for inspiring all the youngsters there with gratitude cards and other things. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say a few words and then I'm going to leave. Anmol Award is something really, really special. Not that all of you are not special. You are all special. But there is something about recognition. There is something about, like Vivikta says in her book, while, what is the word? While breaking what is that? While
defying the
laws of nature by defining the nature itself.
While defying the laws of nature, defining the laws of nature, you define the nature. Okay, so it's the same thing. This award is about a definition, and once you create a definition, then only you can break the definition. Without a definition, you cannot break the definition, right? So a Anmol Award is also about a definition. So we are saying, Shivani created a completely new pillar, a pillar which is important for our group and is part of our Thop culture. gratitude cards. Gratitude is so important in life. You can have everything. You can all have all the physical, material life. But if you don't have gratitude, you cannot enjoy those physical, material life you have. So Shivani took, said, hey, I will help the team to create this gratitude mindset. And she did it. So thank you so much, Shivani, for this. And so Anmol Award, we want to make it really, really special for something which you're willing to step into the unknown. Where you're saying, you know what, I have no idea how this looks like, how this future looks like, but I'm going to step into this unknown and make something happen. And that's what Shivani did. So thank you, Shivani. Congratulations to you. I'm really, really glad that you're part of my life. Bye, everyone.
Bye.